when you get a title, that you don't need to do anything else. That's when you got to do 4 times more, maybe 5 times more, maybe 10 times more. You're going to be working all the time because you made your vow to God. I'm going to do this for the benefit of all mankind. And we're going to do it with love in our heart. So that's so important that we remember that. So it's good to learn new skills, isn't it? It's good to know what's out there. You don't have to agree with it, but you can learn about it. See the difference? See, a lot of times they have all these different modalities and techniques out there. That's wonderful if you want to study, but that don't say it's right for you. But know about it. Know about it and follow your own course. Ministers shall strive at all times to present a true picture in their advertising and representations to the public, and to include metaphysical universal ministries and their individual certification number. Why are we saying that? Because if you do that, you're not going to be questioned. They're going to say, oh, they are right now, they're having a big problem with ministry that sends $50 away and gets a certificate. And by doing this, you have your information, and it's right on to where do you belong to. And people can check us out. They can go on our internet. They can do, they can see what you've had to go through and how to learn, and you studied for it. This is the big thing that's happening right now. We'll go in further that tomorrow with marriages. Number 9, ministers shall present themselves in such a manner to introduce confidence, respects, truths, and admiration for metaphysical universal ministries and their ministry. Now, what are we saying here? We're saying we want you to be loyal to the ministry. Loyal to the ministry. Not saying, well, I just went there because I want to get my ordination. Okay? I've heard this so much, not from our ministers, but from other places where they receive their ordination. So we're going to remember, be proud, and know the truths of what your ministry is. Number 10, ministers shall conduct themselves so that their relationships to other ministers and metaphysical universal ministers are supportive and courteous, and they shall address any differences with professional integrity. Now, what does that mean? It means when you meet another minister outside of our church, you be courteous and polite. And you don't say he's wrong in his beliefs, because he's going to tell you you're wrong. See what I'm saying? So you don't want to get in there and say, God loves us all. And it's so easy to say that. God loves us all. And I know he loves me. And this is the big thing that it just holds people back from heavy judgment sometimes. And you also want to be have that professional integrity. That makes such a difference, to be courteous, because they're going to say, that you will come up against it, and you've just got to remember in your mind that you were called to the ministry to serve all humanity and God's people. Section 11, ministers shall comply with all national, state, and local laws, as well as the Constitution, the bylaws, the rules, the regulations of the church, whether it is your own church or a church they are working in. What does this mean? This means if I would go to another church, I would ask that minister what they expect of me. What do they want me to present, and how should I present it? This is all done beforehand. Not that you stand up there and you don't know what you're doing. You have a bulletin in front of you. Put your glasses on and read it. And if you make an error, keep on going. Don't announce it to the congregation or wherever you're speaking. This happens so often, and it truly, there's something wrong with it. I would say, oh, boy, is that insecurity on that part. We don't want to show any of our insecurities because we're going to work on them, right? We're going to overcome our insecurities. That's what a metaphysical minister does. We can walk with our heads high and know our strengths and know our beliefs and know that we're supported with many unseen angels, ascended masters, and most of all, God. So that's what we want to represent. And of course, we have to follow the state laws and the local laws when it comes to weddings and so forth. That's very important. Ministers shall strive to self-examine. I'm going to say this again. Ministers shall strive to self-examine, to be true to themselves, to grow in spirit, in order that they can grow in spirit, in knowledge and wisdom, as they evolve toward the oneness with the Creator. Now, what are we saying here? Self-examine yourself. Don't be afraid to know. Now, you know more than anybody if you have an ego problem, if you have a control issue, if you have all different things that run into the realm. Well, you've got to know that. You've got to self-examine yourself. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I'm not the only one, and I'm being very honest when I'm telling you this, because, sometimes I think, oh, is that hypocritical? Anybody ever have that feeling? Nancy, how about you? The others, did you ever have that feeling? You're not always going to be right. Take responsibility. Take responsibility. And I want to go back to 11. The worst thing you can do in a church, and unfortunately it does happen here, we have to understand that some people are getting older and that sometimes they might get things a little bit confused. But you know what? When they're up there, we don't want to correct them from down here. It is so wrong. It is so wrong. So do we have any questions on the principles? Any question? We want you to know them. Know your principles, and you know what? It'll be wonderful when you get to know all this stuff. And it's not going to be an overnight thing. You're getting a 6 weeks course that's going to be crashed into 2 days. But I know that all of you are capable of doing it, and we're just a phone call away. And that's all part of who we are. We're there for you 24/7. Okay, now we'll go to our next folder, which is, I don't know if you have this one, steps to the motivation. Do you have, oh yes, you have it in yours. Let's go, I want you all to go to the page that says motivation for ministry. When we talk about motivation for the ministry, what is your human motivation for this ministry? And we need to work on this now. What is your inner spiritual development? What do you feel within you? And do we want to help people in a spiritual manner? Do we want to reach out and help people in a spiritual manner? And do we search our soul in the inner guidance to take our vows seriously for the purpose of love, not glory? To serve, not manipulate people to your thinking. Okay? This is so important. Remember, we're not out to save a soul. We're out there to walk aside of them and to give them that divine love, that they find out there's a greater world out there. That's the important thing. And we have to be determined to serve in a spiritual manner. Everybody knows what that is. A spiritual manner is being part of being who you are inside. And sometimes that sneaks out before we know it. So we're talking about receiving the call to the ministry. You know, I hope everyone takes their vows very serious, because it's serious stuff. We're there to help people. So we're talking about our strengths and our skills for the ministry. We need to just have a commitment to life to serve God. And if we serve God to the fullest of our ability, we will serve all humankind, helping people. Also animal kind, I guess. But anyway, we want you to remember that when you deliver a lecture or you do a class, do it with dignity. Do it with dignity. And most of all, in the ministry, we need to be a team player. Now, we're not playing football, we're not playing baseball, but we are in a ministry that we need to grow. So we want all of our ministers to be a team player. What does that mean? It means, well, doing some of the things simply as helping. If you see something needs to be done, volunteer to do it. Don't depend on the older ones to do it. Get in there and help. If it's to serve, it's to clean, if it's to do anything. Because this is your ministry. And actually, as all of you join a church, this is your church. So we got to remember that. So I can't strive that. A team player is everybody needs to be a team player wherever they are. Even in school, a kindergarten child knows how to be a team player. If not, they're taught how. So, and then we have this inherited belief, the goodness in all people. We came into this world with that inheritance. But we are made to become prejudiced. We are programmed to all of these effects. And we need to do something to change it. Because that's when judgmental comes in, and some people will never admit to it. They never admit they're wrong, or they never admit they have some prejudiced feelings. But we all have something. And we need to work on that part. So also, we as metaphysicians believe in life after death. So when we believe life after death, we truly believe it, don't we? We know it. We know it exists. We know it's just beyond the veil. There's only a little veil between us and the dimensions of heaven or the spirit world. And so often we'll have people say to us, there's no life after this. And as a minister, you're going to come across this a lot. They'll question you to right down to the core issues sometimes. But you got to know and you got to believe in it. And also healing. We believe in healing. We know it works, don't we? Yes, we know healing has an effect. Now, this is a thing that I want to stress. Are we healing the body or are we healing the soul? Think about that before you answer.
We are healing the soul.
Right. But so often people think, we have to stress this more and more, they believe they are healing the body. God is the healer. You happen to be an instrument of that energy But actually, anyone that starts with